Here we see the distribution of seats per country in the European Parliament. And as we can see, Germany, with the most population, of course, gets the most seats, 96 seats. And Malta, a country with a much smaller population, only gets 6 seats. But this distribution is actually not completely proportional to the country's population. It is a bit skewed, and this is what this video is going to be about, how exactly the distribution of seats works in the European Parliament, which, if I may say, is a very important topic, because the European Parliament is the only directly elected institution in the EU. And so, some facts. Seats are, as I said, divided mostly proportional to population, mostly. But they use something called degresive proportionality. And what that means is that, yes, the biggest states, with most population, get the most seats, but they don't get as many seats as they would have if it was completely proportional. And, of course, vice versa. The smaller states get more seats than they would have if it was completely proportional. And then on top of that, we also have a minimum and a maximum of seats. So we have a minimum of 6 seats and a maximum of 96 seats. And as we can see, countries like Malta are at the minimum of 6 seats. And Germany is at the maximum of 96. So this means that even if we had digressive proportionality, but with no maximum, Germany would actually have gotten more seats, still with, even if it was digressive proportionality. So this cap makes sure that no country gets more than 96 seats. And in the same way, the minimum makes sure that countries who would have actually only gotten like 1 or 2 or 3 seats gets at least 6 seats, even though they have a very small population. And if we look at this, we see every member state and their population. So we can see that Germany has 83 million citizens, and for that they get 96 MPs, and that means that every MP represents 870,000 citizens. And if we compare that to Malta, we see that every one of their MPs represent only 95,000 citizens, and that means that Malta has a much higher influence per capita than Germany. If I'm interpreting this chart correctly, every country under 1 in influence has gotten less seats than they would have proportionally, while if you are above 1, you have gotten more seats than you would have proportionally. And you can see Malta gets the most seats per capita. And this might seem unfair because it's not completely proportional, but the reasoning behind this is that even the smaller countries should get a decent voice in parliament, that the biggest countries can't just dominate everyone. But then you might ask yourself, or at least I asked myself, how many seats would Germany actually get if it was a completely proportional distribution? And now I'm not a math guy, but I think I got the calculations correctly. Because if Germany's population is 83 million citizens roughly, and the EU population is 449 million, then if we take Germany's population divided by the EU's population, we get roughly 18%, 18.6. So Germany makes up 18.6% of the EU's population. And so 18.6% of the 720 seats in the parliament is roughly 134 seats. So, today Germany has 96 seats because they've reached the maximum and because of this digressive proportionality. So they have 96 when they would actually have 134 if it was proportional. And you might have different opinions if this is good or bad. It's always a balance between, of course, the parliament being proportional, which is like a democratic thing. It's good in a democratic aspect, but you also have to balance that with, making sure that the smaller states also get a voice in parliament and that they aren't completely dominated by, for example, Germany. But yeah, right. Finally, before I finish this video, I have some additional facts. Well, really is the one additional fact, and that is that the max number of seats allowed in the Lisbon Treaty is 751, but right now, as I said, we only have 720 seats, and that is because after Brexit, when the UK left, they divvied up some of the UK seats, but some of them they kept empty, or they didn't use them. And that is because they are saving these seats for a future EU expansion. If we get a new member state, then we can use some of these seats to give to them. So we have, some room left between 720 and 751. But that was all. So thank you for watching, and if you have any questions or if I got something wrong, please comment and let me know.